Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be at in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc, the Intuitive Prospector, here for another Metaphysical Mocha Mondays with Marc here on the Om Times Institute page. Hope that you had a fabulous weekend. Hope you're having a great Monday. We're going to just take a second just to get into what I call the magic of the moment. Today's topic is, you may be asking yourself, why is it a good thing to fail? And I'll get into that here in just a second. But if you could be so kind to help us grow Metaphysical Mocha Mondays every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern here on the Om Times Institute page. We grow this through grassroots, so if you feel that somebody needs some inspiring, some spiritual guidance, some uplifting, maybe a little bit of knowledge and wisdom, please subscribe to the page down below. You can share out with like-minded individuals or somebody that you think would benefit from being in a spiritual community, or what I like to say, soul tribe, if you will. So if you're joining me for the first time, good morning. Thank you for being here on a bright, early Monday morning. Like I said, I try to be here every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that I'm here in Seattle, Washington. And immediately following this show, it's a half-hour show where I give you just some spiritual guidance, some inspiration to help you along with your week. We switch over to my business page, which is the Intuitive Prospector page, and I have a direct Q&A with you, and you can ask questions, a spiritual chat. If you're feeling like you need some guidance, we could pull a card. You could post a picture of yourself so I could see your auric field, or ask me about somebody in the spirit world that you'd like to connect with. So if you'd like to find out more work that I'm doing, either through the Om Times Institute, you can visit my website at marclanehart.com. You can internet search the Intuitive Prospector, and I can be found that way. You can also find me at Best American Psychics, Best Psychic Directory, and I'm happy to announce I'm working with a new spiritual community called Ariel. That announcement will be coming here shortly. They're going to help me with PR and marketing as I continue to grow my spiritual practice, and so I'm really excited to be working with the Ariel community, so stick around for that. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in the page the comments if you are interested in moving over after today's show, which we're going to be talking all about failure and why it's a good thing to fail. Some of you may have been raised like I was, that failure was a bad thing, and the acronym that I'll get into what failure actually is will make sense, because that's why I put the guy kind of like going, what do you mean, what's Marc talking about failing? So with every Metaphysical Mocha Monday, you got to have some coffee, you got to have some tea, you got to grab your protein shake. That's one of the requirements for hanging out with me this morning. This morning I've got my Whistler cup, looking to get up to Whistler, Canada sometime in 2018. Get out into nature. That's why I have the nature backdrop. So again, if you're just joining, welcome. Go ahead and leave your name on the comment section. I do have the comment section turned off just for this show, and I come back after the show and answer your questions. Let us know where you're from, and then if you want to directly have a conversation with me, switch over to the link I just put in the comment section for the Intuitive Prospector page. You can also catch me every Wisdom Wednesday on Inspired Living Radio. That's the Om Times Radio Network. We're going into our third season, so over 100 episodes, and we have a lot of fun. Last week we talked about, we had two guests from London that had Skyped in and talked about near-death experiences. Next week we're going to be talking about somebody that wrote a book about dancing with cancer. So if you've been impacted by cancer like I have, I've lost actually two family members, close family members to cancer. It's going to be a very inspiring, insightful, inspirational show next Wisdom Wednesday, and that's going to be Dancing with Cancer. But you can find me on the internet every Wisdom Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's Inspired Living Radio. You can go on the internet and find it. You don't need a password, a username. You can listen to it on any device anywhere in the world. That's why we love the network. And if you want to join our closed page, just go over to Inspired Living Radio, ask to join the Inspired Listeners. And the community is well over 1,100 people now. We started with 2. And so we've just grown it through the grassroots of people looking to find their tribe and vibe with their tribe. So I want to give you some quotes for this week just to help you. This week I'm going to give you a animal spirit guide. Nature is our greatest teacher. Nature is our greatest healer. I'm also going to give you a prospecting crystal or stone for the week, something that you can work with, something that I added to the show just because I think it's, crystals and stones and anything in nature can really lift your vibration. Maybe give you some tips on how to raise your consciousness, and then also give you a number for the week. And that's kind of how I break the show up of Metaphysical Mocha, is to give you some inspiration, have a spiritual chat, talk with all of you awesome spiritual prospectors all around the world. And my tagline for 2018 is explore the unknown, see the unseen in 2018. So if you can go prospecting with us to find your own spiritual gold, and that's what this show and topic is all about. And the topic today, we are talking about it's a good thing to fail, and again, the acronym FAIL, of what that means for me and how I look at failure and how I move forward with life, because life can throw a lot of stuff at us, right, guys? Life never asks us what we want. The waves of change always come at us. The waves of life always come at us, so we can either be succumb to the waves and give up, or we can keep going and we can keep surfing and really enjoy those changes and those waves and be what I call a big wave surfer. So one of my quotes that I want to open up this morning, there's a new movie out. I haven't gotten to see it. It's called The Darkest Hour, and it's the story of Winston Churchill. So for you historian buffs, I'm a big follower of World War II, how it changed the world, how some things that were done that could have really had a different outcome of how we see reality today. And Winston Churchill was one of those factors. And one of the quotes that I always stick by with him, and one of the things that I remember of what he said is, he says, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So your enthusiasm can go a long way, and again, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So that's by Winston Churchill. The other one that I wanted to give you is, the master has failed more times than the beginners has ever tried. So for those of you that are watching and participating today, we'll carry the conversation over on the Intuitive Prospector page, where I'll have a conversation with you. But for those of us that have been on the spiritual path, most of us have had the shakening that causes the awakening, to get us to think differently and how we look at life and how we see things in our environment, whether that's our career, family, friends, what we do in life. I know that was my journey. One of these episodes, I'm going to talk about the dark journey of the night, the dark soul of the night, because we've all had that. But again, the masters, and if you learn from the masters, somebody that has a little bit of age behind it, because that age means that they have failed more times than just some of the beginners. And I go back to even when I was in my young 20s, how I thought I was in the Coast Guard. I was very arrogant, very confident, and I just thought I knew it all and had a Superman mentality, and really I didn't know anything at all. And not to say that I know anything today, I just share my experiences. And again, the masters has failed more times than the beginners have ever tried. So if you can remember that, and again, failure is only the opportunity to begin again. Only this time is with more wisdom. So that's some of your positive affirmations for this week. So if you can remember that, again, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. The masters have failed more times than the beginners have even tried. And failure is only the opportunity to begin again, only this time with more wisdom. So just some positive affirmations, some positive words, some positive vibrations. If you can say that to yourself, that also helps in your journey. So the acronym for today is why it's good to fail, is the acronym that I actually use when somebody says, oh, that you failed at that, or you're a failure. We take that and we internalize that, and we take that to be a bad thing. I don't do that. I actually am just the opposite. My role as an inspirer, as a humanitarian, as a spiritualist, is to see the opportunity for growth and transformation. So the acronym that I use for FAIL is first attempt in learning. So you can write that down. First attempt in learning is your failure. And that's why it's a good thing to fail, because sometimes think about if you ever, just if your ability to first when you walk, and how many times you fall down. There's a Japanese proverb that says, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. you didn't think about you didn't think it as failure. Some people may look at it and say, oh, you failed to walk, or you can't walk, or riding a bike, or maybe not getting something in your academic studies, or something at your job. And that's why that is the old adage, practice does make perfect, and you keep going at it, and you keep going at it. And again, just like Winston Churchill had talked about, that success is stumbling from failure to failure, because to fail, first attempt in learning, pushes you to move to that next opportunity to grow and to transform. Sometimes it takes a good fall to really know where you stand, as my grandma used to tell me all the time. So, giving up, that's your choice. We all are given, our greatest powers why we're here is choice and free will and personal responsibility for those choices. And you can give up. I would hope that you wouldn't. Part of my job here this morning is to inspire you and keep you on the path. But giving up on your goal or because of a setback is like slashing your other 3 tires because you got a flat. So think about it. If you're going along and you get a flat and you're like, I'm just done, give up, then you're just giving up the whole car, because you got 3 good tires that can still get you there. So what I'm trying to say is keep going. Success is built on your failures. And again, the more failures you have, the more you're learning, the more you can share, and the more wisdom that you're gaining. Again, where do you stand? Sometimes it takes a good fall to know where you stand. So let's get into the magic of the moment. Go ahead and just take a deep breath with me. I think it's important to be in the magic of the moment. Just know that you're here today. Know that you have a purpose. You have a plan. Find your passion. What's your passion? What drives you? If you don't know, I'm going to give you some tips to help you raise your consciousness. And one of the tips that you can first start with that has been very helpful and life-changing for me is meditation. I do Qigong in the morning. I try to get outside barefoot, rain or shine, in the grass, to feel alive. Work on my physical body, work on my emotional body, which is the heart, work on my mental body, which is the mind, and work on my spiritual body, which is my energy. It doesn't have to be a religious context for you. For some of you that are watching, this isn't about religion. Religion is about somebody else's journey. Spirituality is about your own journey and how do you feel. How do you feel physically? How do you feel emotionally? How do you feel mentally? And how do you feel connected? Do you feel inspired? Do you feel a calling? Or do you just feel run down and low vibration and crummy? If that's the case, then it's time for a change. It's a time to start living. And again, if you feel like you are failing, because when I meditated this morning, that is what came up in my meditation. Fail is first attempt in learning. So what are you trying to learn? What is the universe trying to show you? And are you being open and receptive to it? Or are you fearing the change and going against the grain? Which is fine, but I always like to say what we resist usually persists in our life. Sometimes it's better to let go and versus hold on and get dragged and go with the flow. Doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean you're being silent in something, but going with the flow can actually benefit you in transforming you and helping you to learn and see a different perspective. A prime example is this government shutdown that we're going through. I'm personally impacted by that because I have a day job, federal employee, and so I'm personally impacted that. But I'm trying to observe the overall of the political chaos that we find ourselves in. Not pointing fingers at anybody, one party, but just seeing if they can come together in teamwork and for the better of the whole of society and community versus just a few. I had a post yesterday. I talked about this in December that I predicted that there would be a government shutdown because we're so polarized in our beliefs and our perceptions. But I trust the universe. I trust the knowledge and the wisdom of the universe. I trust numerology. We're in the 2018 year. This is a year of corporate peace. This is a universal year. Great change is usually preceded by great chaos. So I know that this year is going to work out to be very impactful for many, many people. So this too shall pass with this government shutdown. But I'm just looking as an observer, not at the politics, not at the media, not at people in general, but the universe and what the universe is telling me through the numbers of numerology. So it's a very, using that, trust in your psychic senses, trust in your intuition, trust in your awareness, helps you to kind of pull yourself out of that toxic environment and see the bigger picture, the 30,000-foot perspective. So again, giving up on your goal because because of one setback is like slashing your other 3 tires because you got a flat. So keep going. Sometimes it takes a good fall to really know where you stand. If you learn from defeat, you haven't really lost. And to fail at something is first attempt in learning. So if you want to start raising your consciousness, if you want to start raising your vibration, you can do that through the power of breath. You can do that through meditation. You can do that through exercise, good sleep. I do Qigong, Tai Chi, sound vibration like a singing bowl, music, writing. I'm doing a lot more writing this year in 2018 than I ever had in previous years because I'm really wanting to express through the power of the pen and connect more people through the power of the book and my articles and my newsletter. But being in the every moment can help you to raise your consciousness. And again, if you feel like you have failed at something, change the way that you look at that. Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about that all the time. When you start to look at things differently, the things you look at start to change. And don't look at as, if you failed at something, you got a bad grade, or you didn't make the cut, you didn't make the team, you didn't get the promotion at work. Look at it as a first attempt in learning. What didn't you do that would have put you over the top, and keep going. Go after it a little bit harder now. Have your focus. Set your intent. I'm a firm believer and teach that energy follows your intent. So if your intent is to not want to get the job, if your intent is to look at yourself as not as a success or a negative failure, then of course that energy is going to follow. That vibration is going to follow. But look at it as a first attempt in learning. What didn't you get the first time? How can you proceed the second time? It might be third or fourth time, like Winston Churchill talked about. Success is stumbling from failure to failure. But again, the failure is the opportunity to begin again, but only this time you're choosing more. You're more wise, you're more educated, and if you make the same mistakes, then you're not learning and transforming from that first time. Take it from someone who knows, stubborn, I'm a Taurus, ego. It took me many times to stumble and fall, to have an understanding of even where I was going with my spiritual path. So again, being every moment, just good deep breath meditation, just focusing on your breath, soul connection meditation. Make sure I'm checking the time here. It goes by so quick every Monday morning. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be patient with yourself. Trust what you're feeling. And again, use that acronym that I'm giving you, FAIL, first attempt in learning. Because the whole purpose of us being here, and this took me maybe a few years to understand, is it's a learning opportunity. We come here, we incarnate into the physical form to learn. Everything is about learning because that is your best perspective. That's your best way of being introduced to something. From child to teenager to adult to a senior elder. It's a whole cycle, and the whole cycle is all about learning. So the other acronym that I use a lot is LIFE, L-I-F-E. Learn it from experience. That's why we're all here. So trust yourself, be patient with yourself, be in the moment. Don't get into the future. Don't get too far in the past. A lot of you that are watching like to carry your life, your past as a life sentence. Myself included, took me years to let go of that past because you can't go back and change it, and that's the power of the mind. That's why we're such creative, powerful species, because we have the power of the mind, but we're also a very dysfunctional, violent species because we don't control the mind. The article that I'm talking about this month is We Are Only Human, and people use that as an excuse. Well, we're only human. But if you think about it, we're at the top of pretty much everything on Earth. The food chain, the social consciousness, technology, that's all driven by humans. But we use that in a negative term. Well, I'm only human. Well, that's actually a good thing compared to the rest of the animal kingdom. So be on the lookout for that article coming out here shortly, here in the next week or so. I'm almost finished writing because I'm going to be talking about the user's manual that most of us don't read, that comes with this supercomputer up here, and why we are only human, and why we can make great change and make great strides as humanitarians, as a species. move past a lot of the chaos that we're seeing. The Women's March, my wife just marched in that here in Seattle. Many people coming together, and that can make great change when people come together and create that vibration and doing it for a cause that is beneficial to more people through the power of love, through the power of acceptance, through the power of forgiveness. So just realize that you're not just a physical being, but that you're a spiritual being, that you're an energetic spiritual being first that chose to come here and have a physical experience. And sometimes that physical experience is not fun. Trust me, I've had some dark nights of the soul, and I'll be talking about that here in one of my future episodes. But the dawn comes, this too shall pass, and that transformation takes place through your learning experiences. Again, it's going back to think of sometimes when you were young, you didn't want to do homework, you didn't want to get up and go to school. It's the same thing. It's all about learning. So I like to say, identify with nothing. Don't let something identify you. Just be the observer. A lot of people get their identity through religion or politics, and they think that that's who they are. Find your own identity and who you are. I like to say live authentic. That's very important. Make friends with the unknown. I know that can be scary, but meditation can really open you up. Like I said at the beginning, explore the unknown, see the unseen. In 2018, a lot of the work that I do spiritually is working with the spirit world and people that are on the other side that I don't get to see with my physical eye, but I can sense and feel and know their presence when they're close to me and give messages. So that's part of working with your higher self, if you want, or working if you believe in angels, if you believe in spirit masters or guides or ascended masters, or you want to connect with those on the other side that are no longer here in the physical body. Like I said, it was my path of great tragedy that put me on this path because I wanted to connect with my brothers. I wanted to connect with my father, my father-in-law, my uncle, my cousin, all my pets that I've ever owned. And so that's what put me on this path, this vocation, if you will, of mediumship and studying in England every year, being a member of the Spiritual National Union, taking courses, being mentored, having a deeper understanding of communicating and making friends with the unknown. And it's been quite a ride. It's been wonderful. So I would challenge you to do that. Be in the body. Look at yourself as a physical being. Look at your mind. Look at your emotions, how you're feeling, and just try to gauge that. Don't overanalyze. The analyzed mind, the analytical mind tends to be on the left side. The creative's on the right side. So watch your, your analyzation. And if you go too far down the rabbit hole, like Alice in Wonderland, don't go too far down because a lot of times it's not even going to happen. A lot of things that we think about worrying. Doesn't come true most of the time. I like to say that worrying means that we suffer twice. Don't need to suffer twice. We're already here in the physical journey suffering. We don't need to add to that misery. So again, talking about fail today, it's a good thing to fail. First attempt in learning, that is the acronym. If you are having a rough go this week, just know that there is a like-minded community. There is a soul tribe here on the Institute page, on my Intuitive Prospector page. I also have weekly spiritual development, so if you're interested in that, please visit marclanehart.com. You can go through the Om Times Institute to get to any of my classes that I've taught, and including my weekly spiritual development class, which is Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have a great group of people that come together of like mind to help us develop spiritually and work with some of the things that you are going through. So if you feel that you are small or you are just having a rough go, get a picture of the earth and post it up. This is what I do sometimes. Sometimes I think the bigger picture, when I see the picture of earth, we're pretty small when you think about it. When in the whole scheme of things in the universe and all the planets and how fragile we really are, it helps me keep things in perspective. So those are just some ways, some tips to help you with your consciousness, to raise your consciousness, to raise your vibration. We're going to be switching over to the Intuitive Prospector page. I have put the link below, and if April, my virtual assistant, could help with that, just put another link in there or a picture, that would be fantastic, to have a direct conversation with me. This show is focused on giving you the topics for the week, your inspiration, giving you insight, helping to give you a positive affirmation and just uplift you for the week. at 8:30, I'll have a direct conversation so you can ask me something about failure if you've got a rough go. The card for this week, from a numerology standpoint, pay attention to the number 96 or the number 15, which in numerology, that number 9615 adds up to the number 6, which when I see that number broken down in numerology, we break it down to a single digit. The number 6 is all about love. And the card for this morning is forgiveness. So forgive yourself, forgive those, and forgive your past so you can be present in the moment. That's very important. But when I see the 6 energy around the heart and I'm getting the forgiveness energy, what I do is I tie the prospecting stone or the crystals to help you with that journey. And I just felt like there's a lot of people that really need to either be forgiven or forgive themselves. And again, you are not a failure. It's a first attempt in learning on your journey. So keep going, keep moving forward. Again, failure doesn't mean the game is over. It means we try again with the experience that we're given, and that's how we're successful. Because as Winston Churchill said, success is stumbling from failure to failure, but the key is to not lose your enthusiasm. Stay positive and keep going. So the prospecting stone for this week, and I will try to come back and add pictures if I have time, is the Smoky Quartz. Smoky Quartz, it's a more blackish hue, brown. It sometimes has a yellow color. If any of you want to post a picture of the Smoky Quartz, please feel free to do so. This is a spiritual community with interaction. The source is worldwide, and it's easily obtained as it's a natural smoky quartz. What I like about the Smoky Quartz for this week, it's the most efficient grounding and anchoring stone, but at the same time, it raises your vibration during meditation, and it's also known as a protective stone. So it has a strong link with the earth and the base chakra, which is your right at your base of right above where your hips are is where your base chakra resides, and that base is very important. That's your foundation. Like a house has a foundation, that is your house, your foundation for your spiritual house. And it's the stone is a superb stone, an antidote for any kind of stress or worry. So if you have a lot of stress or worry that's going on in your path right now, because you feel like you failed at something, use the Smoky Quartz, sit in meditation, put it in your pocket, take it to work. And again, first attempt in learning is the true acronym of FAIL. And again, you're going to learn from it, you're going to transform from it. Now you have experience and education and wisdom, and that's how you overcome it. And just to add to it, because the natural world is our best friend, our greatest teacher, our greatest healer, the totem animal spirit for this week is pay attention to the pelican. So if you, I won't probably see a pelican myself. Well, you never know. You could see it out in nature. You could see it on TV. But the pelican is telling you that you have this opportunity this week to not only forgive yourself or someone else, but to release any kind of built-up guilt or resentment that's been going on. And it's time to free yourself for whatever is wearing you down. So be like the pelican and be free. And again, this could be possession, it could be emotions, it could be your mental strife, where you're at. And again, if that failure energy is weighing heavily on you, be like the pelican, set it down, let it go, fly free, and know that fail is first attempt in learning. So I'm going to start wrapping up, guys. I want to thank you for being here this morning for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I'll be back next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to be switching over to the Intuitive Prospector page right now here on Facebook for the Facebook Live Q&A after show, where I will actually have a direct conversation with you, answer your questions. It could be psychic, mediumship, spiritual chat. Come join me. Help us grow the page. I want to thank you for being here this week. Have a great week. Stay positive. Again, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. You're all of that combined. You're a beautiful soul, and you're all here to make a difference in the world. So find your purpose, have a plan, find your passion. And again, just like Winston Churchill said, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So keep the enthusiasm. I'll see you guys next Monday here on the Om Times Institute page. And again, you can catch me this Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesday, on Inspired Living Radio with Marc and Kim at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern through our internet radio show. So until then, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. I'll see you guys next Monday. Have a great week, everybody. Namaste.